Welcome in to the first episode of the Betting Pitch NFL edition. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner, joined by A underscore Schnicker. And if you look at him, if you're watching our videos, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify under Betting the Pitch. Leave a 5-star review, leave a nice little note that mentions the bigote across the lips of at A underscore Schnicker. I hadn't seen the mustache. It is much darker than I expected, but
Yeah.
that's something that happens. Do you want to walk us through your decisions in life, or just
So there's not a lot to it. I just think it's a winning combination. And so uh, it's been a good summer of winning. And so let's start the football season. I feel pretty good about this one. How do you feel like your off-season prep went for this NFL season?
I think better than most, but
Yeah.
certainly better than it went for the Chiefs, who just lost seconds ago. We're recording
Yes.
this a little bit late. Apologies for our schedule. We were trying to knot that down
We'll figure
before
it out.
next week, and we'll be. I don't have any trips to Italy planned this year, so we should be good about not having a 2 week hiatus. Sorry to the Formula One episode fans, because that certainly has taken the back burner ever since real sports have started. Excuse my French, right there. But we're going to go through a six-pack of games, of course, the Sunday Night Football and Monday nights. And then we got four others to discuss. And we're going to give our best bets end of show. Clearly, just a Sunday and Monday episode for this week. But we'll be back looking at Thursday nights and everything that doesn't involve Brazil moving forward. But follow us on Twitter at the real underscore G Warner and at A underscore Schnicker. And we'll be with you putting out some winners, hopefully, this entire season. And I'm committing to more floating head Instagram reels. So get
Oh,
ready for
wow.
that.
Those were a hit, weren't they?
They
Those were a
have.
big success.
So I'm just trying to keep the streak alive, you know. So we have I guess some games to talk about before we get to Sunday night and Monday night. Of course, we're going to start with what I think is maybe the under the radar game to discuss the most. And we've seen some movement there too. Tampa Bay Buccaneers now a 1 point underdog at Atlanta. Total is
Yeah.
47 right now. I was with a guy the other day as I was doing our Guillotine League draft, actually, and he was really selling me on the Tampa Bay Bucks this year. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then a few days later, I texted him and I was like, so what about Liam Cohen going? He's like, who's that? And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? So Liam Cohen, does he matter? He's not the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks anymore, and that little thing seems to matter to me.
It does matter. I'm starting to wonder, we talk about these storylines all off season, and then we get close to the season and I'm like, I wonder if these storylines are played out, if we're like on just like the very public popular side of things. There's no disputing that Liam Cohen is a great developer of quarterbacks. He's done it in college. He made, and then he's made several NFL quarterbacks also just massive improvements. Baker Mayfield's obviously one of those guys. But Baker Mayfield has, whether it's become more comfortable in his career or become, just starting to be a good NFL quarterback, has had several different offensive coordinators and really has, turned the corner, not just with Liam Cohen. Um, but yeah, it does concern me. Like I've in my fantasy drafts, I've stayed away from Tampa Bay players because just Todd Bowles is just known as a killer of offense. And so really, I think it's fun to see this first week to see like has did he truly let go of the reins and is now putting trust in his offensive staff to lead the way, or is he going to go back to his stubborn, defensive minded coach trying to limit the possessions and play more conservative?
So we saw the Bucks. The first number I saw, I think the last week or so, was the Bucks minus 1.5. It's now
Yep.
flipped to +1, which isn't a huge move. Crossing zero, not a big deal, unless you're teasing. And who does that anymore? Any day, no one shaves their lips anymore, so we might as well keep going the other way. Um, I guess to me, I was a little surprised to see the Bucks favored, though. Of course, they had a great run last season. The Falcons seemingly have been it's their year, or next year is their new year for the past decade. It
Always.
feels
Yeah.
like. Um, I I can't say I'm a huge believer in Michael Penix, though. You and I were both in the house in the Sugar Bowl a few years ago when he had the best day of his damn life, of
Yeah.
course, because the Longhorns were against them. But what do you think about, I guess, this number or total? Do you have any feel for either of these? Because
Yeah.
this is a pretty big matchup in the NFC South to get you started if you're the Falcons trying to win this division kind of unexpectedly, or the Bucks really trying to hold, I guess, hold on to last year's success?
Yeah. I think the main question to ask here is the money that we've seen, is it truly a buy on Atlanta, or are we seeing similar sentiment where people are fading Tampa Bay? I think Penix has a lot of hype around him, and I'm cautiously optimistic of what we've seen. I think the last couple of starts that he had last year have really gotten blown out of proportion for what he accomplished. They were really fun and entertaining, but like his shining accomplishment was the week 18. They beat the Panthers, and it wasn't really close, but like everyone's really latched onto that week 18 game rather than looking at the 3 or 4
As the
games he played.
Panthers better in that game, I don't really think that was a lot about the Falcons. I think that was a lot about the other
Yeah,
team,
right.
unfortunately.
Um, so I think we've kind of have some revisionist history there. This is an interesting one because I think most of the offseason I've been taking little stabs at Atlanta in this spot. They're at home, it's a divisional game. I do think that the offense is going to be better. Second year head coach and getting that system in for a second year. But now that we're getting closer, I'm getting a little uncomfortable with it all because Tampa Bay has become really the definition of success in that division, and it feels odd to just go with the trendy pick.
Yeah, it feels like to me, if you're taking the +1 on the Bucks, you are a big time believer. If
Yeah.
you're, or you just are a seller of the Falcons, which I think both can profit, both can be okay. Um, I don't know that I feel good enough to play the Falcons here. So to me, unfortunately, I think I am leaning towards the Bucks, but I don't know that I'll necessarily add it to my card. We'll move to some bigger games, and of course, we'll get to the nightcaps and best bets coming end of show. Trying to get in. It seems like we picked a lot of the evening games. It seems, which for good reason. So we'll move next to the Texans, 3-point underdogs on the road at Los Angeles. A lot of juice right now in the Rams. Total is 43 in this one. Are we believing in a bounce back year for CJ Stroud?
Uh, yeah, I think that's fair to say. Do you believe in that bounce
Well,
back
so
year?
my concern was the Texans. I mean, I think they won a playoff game 2 years ago and were really fortunate to get in the playoffs. And I think that made a lot of believers out. I mean, because we saw them in the playoffs and you're like, okay, that must be a good team. I think we noticed in our podcast when we did a futures episode last year, seeing the Texans were not really getting much love. And that told
Yeah,
me that there's some sort of disconnect between what we had saw and thought and really was a great defense. And then last year, I feel like we saw CJ Stroud just completely underproduce, underperform, or just not really deliver on anything he did before. So was that an easy schedule his rookie year? Was that because you always expect to jump in the sophomore season, though this felt like a sophomore slump to say the least. I think the defense of the Texans is going to have to lead their rocket ship, is what it seems like to me. And I don't know that I ever really trust any defense against a Sean McVay coach team. I don't really have much concern for the crowd in Los Angeles. Bill Simmons was saying he doesn't expect a lot of Texans fans, but literally tonight's Rangers Astros game was half Astros fans,
Astros.
according
Yeah.
according to the Rangers broadcast. I am in the 10th inning. Hit pause to do this podcast, so if we could la 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 about what happens,
Okay.
but
Okay.
um, I feel like 43 is a pretty low total for the Rams, but we had Matthew Stafford, who seemed like he was questionable all summer to make this start. He does seem like he's in and playing, but
Yeah.
he's not getting any younger. And does one shot to the back or to whatever part of him potentially knock him out early? And then you're looking at backup quarterbacks, and no one has a good one.
Right. I think this number going to 3. I There's some cautious optimism, I think, on Stafford being healthy and fine. He's the guy is what he is at this point. Like he's clinging to his last bits of NFL time, and so I think we're going to get the best of him. That at this point of like what we've seen for the last year and a half or so, as long as he can stay upright and can keep playing. And so whether it's what he's been getting some epidurals, like what you would get if you were about to have a baby. That's the kind of
Wouldn't
thing.
know, but I hear you know that. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I didn't give birth to a baby, but I've
How are the
witnessed.
epidurals though? Are they tight?
Oh man, it seems really terrifying to have to do that.
Well, don't worry, I got an epidural in my spine, so it's all good. We're actually,
That's where
I
you,
do
that's
know,
what you do. Yeah,
I
that's where
do
you
know what
put
I'm
it.
talking about, actually. Yeah.
So
So me
yes.
and Matt about the same bank
So
account too, similar commas.
so yeah, I mean that's if that can't be a great sign. I wouldn't love my starting quarterback to have to get epidurals every single week for a grueling NFL
Is it
season.
worth it? I mean, come on, man. He's made enough money as a Super Bowl. Like,
I
what if
know.
he?
I guess at some point you gotta let it go.
Your wife beat cancer? I mean, geez,
That's
like
right. That's
so
right.
so much stuff here. I mean,
Okay, so hold on. Let me. I do. I'm the Texans defense is alarming to me.
they're
Like
supposed to be good. That's what their coach does. That's why
I
he's
know
there.
he's just become pretty predictable. Like he doesn't blitz. It's
Hate
all
that.
just very even front. Like we're gonna get pressure with four, and if not, then I don't know.
And we'll see what happens with the guy we just signed off of Home Depot's roster last
Like
week. Like, come on.
it's I want to see some changes there. He has a great defensive mind, but I'm wondering where that went, or was it truly just an amazing defensive line in San Francisco that helped that? Because yes, if you're able to get a pass rush, then your defense is going to look great no matter what.
So
Um,
the number here, though, 3 feels
yeah,
pretty respectful of the Texans, considering the Rams are generally, I think, supposed to be a playoff contender.
true. That's true.
Could
Yeah,
potentially win their division, though I don't think they're the favorite. I think that's the 49ers, who we'll get to in a second. But to me, I feel like there's a little bit of respect for Houston going on the road, across the country, though.
yeah,
Just basically because if we're assigning 2 points for home field, maybe 1.5 this year. I don't know if you've made that drop in
I
your
haven't.
numbers, but
Not that far, but for
like
this one maybe
at least we're saying the Rams are better than the Texans on a neutral field, and that field goal seems to be pretty valuable if you're looking at an underdog.
for sure. Yeah, I think it's a little. I think it's a mix, and I'm not trying to go both ways with that, but like I think I think there's some buy-in on the Texans being improved, being closer to that that first year Stroud, while also just really some uncertainty about Stafford, and saying, okay, we got to see this first. We got to see what this looks like again before we can. Because yeah, I would have this closer to four.
If you're laying 3.5, though, let's say it moves there before kickoff at 4:25 Eastern time on Sunday, September 7th, you got to be concerned every time there's a hit on your quarterback.
I don't. Yeah, I can't imagine someone's like just fired up to lay 3.5.
Well, it's getting late on Sunday and someone knows their bookie. So it's time to bet some favorites, baby. And we'll keep that going with the 49ers visiting the Seahawks. Currently, Niners 2-point favorites. A lot of juice in the Seahawks right now. Total also 43, as I guess we're just going to play the smallest totals of the year so far. Rough if you had the under tonight. Sorry
Yeah.
for anyone, especially with a late number. So tell me, the Niners, are you expecting Christian McCaffrey to play?
Isn't this incredible?
Well, I'm just
Like,
glad I didn't spend $73 of a
oh
$200
my gosh.
auction budget on him this year because I definitely did that last year.
And that's the thing is I wanted him this year. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but so you know,
Yes or
all
no?
season,
Yes or no?
what if he's gonna play?
He's gonna play.
I think he's gonna play.
I'm
I think
saying no.
you don't think he's gonna play?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
I think I'm gonna
Week
say
6, here he comes.
he's gonna play all off season where there's nothing going on. Everyone's like, okay, here he's back. Look at this is like undoubtedly one of the top fantasy guys if he's healthy. And then Thursday night as the Cowboys and Eagles are getting ready to kick off, big breaking news alert: Christian McCaffrey calf injury. And I don't think I did not look at the practice reports on Friday. I know normally Friday is not a huge practice day in general, but it is. Yeah, you're right. It is concerning that this came out on a Thursday because that's usually like one of the heavier practice days leading into a week. Um, it's really going to be. It's going to be a bummer because I think like we've talked about the 49ers. They've also become a pretty popular, trendy bounce back. Obviously, they've done this before. It's almost every other year. The seesaw effect of getting back to the Super Bowl or competing for that Super Bowl. Robert Salah is back in his, I think, comfortable environment. He's a great defensive mind. You could also look at what happened to the Jets defense even after he left last year to say, wow, that was a big drop off. But
I'm really sad that I don't have that under 9.5 Jets season win total for this year because
oh my
that one
goodness.
kept me breathing, I think, last year. So Christian McCaffrey, I'll read his injury reports. Wednesday, so he's also at the bottom of the list, by the way. So just
Okay.
it's clearly not in alphabetical order because Trent Williams is above him. Uh, Calf, he is the injury. Wednesday, just nothing listed.
Yeah.
Thursday, limited practice. Friday, did not practice. So literally, he's going in the wrong direction in terms of practice.
Oh
If you
no.
believe in those things, currently listed as questionable. Doubtful is Jordan James, another running back with a finger
Hmm.
injury. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, he got into limited practice. So he's practicing more and he's doubtful, but Christian McCaffrey is questionable. I'll stick with my no. So as this game goes, running backs are pretty replaceable, but Christian McCaffrey may be the least because he plays a lot of slot, a lot of
Yeah.
the Shanahan offense is built around him, certainly. And maybe this explains why they traded for Brian Williams.
Well, that's what I was.
Robinson
Brian
Jr.
Robinson.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yep.
As we were talking about this, that was the revelation of like, huh, they made that trade, and I just kind of shrugged my shoulders, like, oh, they're getting some more depth. Good for them. Instead of being like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, as someone who's been hurt before, I certainly look out for these things now. So tell me, how does his okay, let's start with how does his McCaffrey's inactive status on Sunday impact this line? It's currently two very juiced in the Seahawks. Do we see Pick'em,
Oh my goodness. I don't see that because I'm still gonna buy to what the 49ers are.
which is
Shanahan,
a last place team, if I'm not mistaken?
no. That they get crushed with injuries, and so I think there is something to look at. With I think there have been complaints about their turf, but like obviously they're not practicing on their turf. Um, that's I don't want to get off track on that, but I think like the defense is still going to lead the way. I like what Brock Purdy is. If you look back through the stable of running backs that San Francisco's had, most of the time they've been able to produce, no matter who it is. Jordan Mason got a nice deal out of it with Minnesota. Raheem Mostert was a dude that performed well for that. Like Kyle Shanahan is kind of like the running back kingmaker in that deal, or he's one of them at least. So McCaffrey obviously is a vital piece to that offense. He's touching the ball. What do you think his usage rate is? Like 70% of snaps on
I think when
offense?
he's out there, they want to get in the ball. But in the interest of
Sucks.
time, I so you don't think it's getting to pick them. Give us a little
Sorry.
bit
Yeah.
of color on the Seahawks. I think we're gonna run out of
I'm
time.
not where a lot of people are with the Seahawks.
You're not
Uh,
in love with the Jackson Smith and Jigba and that DK Metcalf was a huge distraction, not one of the best
right.
talents in football.
I just think there's a lot of excitement about, and Kubiak has been a great offensive coordinator, or been a decent offensive coordinator. I think before the Saints got injured, they were pretty good last year. Um, I'm just like, it still is taking, it's a transition. Like we're, we just act like these guys come into a new program or a new team and they're like, okay, everything's clicking on all cylinders. It's like sometimes these like teams that are always there are there for a reason because they have continuity, they have consistency, they're preaching the same message. And, you know, you bail on your offensive coordinator who actually is a pretty talented mind, Ryan Grubbs, and so now you're going to have to restart again. So I just think we're not there yet. Maybe like let's look at week 10 and see what's going on with Seattle. But in the first part of the season, I'm not a Seahawks guy.
I'm more interested in 49ers futures to win the division and such because I think
Sure,
this is a road game they can get. I like it more than probably playing the favorite
sure.
here. And obviously that's a much longer lasting and forever and ever and ever and ever stuff. But I'm not a buyer in the Seahawks. I need to see Sam Darnold do it when he's not playing with Kevin O'Connell and a really good Minnesota team that seemed to
Yep.
be set up perfectly for him. We'll move next, stay in this
Uh-oh.
window, and we'll go to the Lions, 1 point underdogs on the road at Green Bay. This one's been falling, it seems, despite one Micah Parsons seemingly going to play in this one. All the juice on the Packers right now. Total's 47. Do we think Jared Goff struggles at Lambeau again?
Do you think that people have like are selling on the Lions? Is that been your takeaway this
Uh,
offseason?
it does feel to me like they're fantasy drafting, which I think is a fairly decent for NFL followers. I think that's a good
Yeah,
way to kind of get an idea of what people are thinking about a team. I think there's some concern about a drop down or drop off without Ben Johnson.
I think I'm gonna steal this from some. I think it may have even been Bill Simmons on the Ringer, but he's talking about like the Lions and the Bears. Like both teams can't be good this year. You have to pick one because Ben Johnson is such a vital
I
piece.
know who I'm picking.
I I feel like this is where I've started to question myself. I just need to see the games happen because again, this is another one all off season where I was like, "Yep, want the Packers," and then they trade for Parsons. They've moved into. I don't think they were a favorite even like a week and a half ago. Or it was. I mean, it was close, and so now I'm like wondering. But it's hard to say the Lions with seven new coaches, the entire staff. However, like it is a talented roster. These do and like these are the types of situations that even Jared Goff now he like thrives in it, where you're questioning him like, oh, can he produce again uh, outside of the dome? You know, this I think we're going to get a max effort. I think this is the key for our podcast this year is like we're not going to operate in black and whites because you can't in this
Okay.
world.
Okay.
Um, and so like what my opinion of week one teams can change quite a bit. And so I think we're going to get a like an all out effort or a max effort from Detroit. Um, sorry, my child was moving around.
It's all good.
Um, so I think we're going to get a max effort from Detroit because they've been hearing this all off season.
Well, I feel like this is probably the biggest game for the Lions all season, you could
Yeah,
argue,
yeah,
at least for a road game. A loss doesn't kill them, of course, but
no,
I do think it's pretty significant. I wonder because the Liam Cohen discussion made me think about this with the Bucks earlier this week. Like, yeah, an OC is important because they're deciding what plays to call and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the talent might be there and the same type of because there's still a lot of the same guys. The dudes are still the same, it seems, in Detroit. They
for
also
sure.
get this Aiden Hutchinson guy back, who seems to be fairly
Pretty
important,
good.
and the defense kind of went to hell in a handbasket once when he broke his leg in 15 different places last year,
Yeah,
it seemed. Which maybe it's hard to really see what type of impact he'll have in his return, but I think there's to me some good possibilities as I watch my clothes fly off the balcony. That there's probably to me
wait,
some
why are your clothes on the balcony? What's
we're
going
drying
on?
them. We're drying them. We got an early 11 a.m. kickoff tomorrow for the Texas Longhorns. You might have heard of them. So I think
You don't have a
I,
dryer?
I do, but it's a long story. The athletic clothes, because they I don't dry them because then it cooks in whatever sweat didn't come
I
off.
see. I see. Okay.
So I mean another really tough game. I don't really know. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be all over the Lions, but I think I need three, and I'm not getting that. So um, might be one of those.
I would take the Lions right now.
Plus 101.
I don't think it matters. Yeah, plus money.
All right, so they're gonna go win in Green Bay. They did it a few seasons ago and kept them out of the
They've
playoffs. Okay, so
done it the last 2 years.
we'll move now to the big Sunday matchup, which this line has been moving all over the place. Amazing what lines that have been out for when the schedule came out 2 or 3 months ago, and then do a ton of movement all at the end. But here we
Yep.
are. Injury report is not very favorable for the Buffalo Bills right now. It seems like corners are hurt, and then many others, and I can pull that up when we get there. But I'll give you the Bills plus 1.5 right now at home, where as far as I knew, and far as I know, in Orchard Park they don't lose. Totals 50.5 in this one, a little bit more juice to over.
Yeah. And this is the series. You know, last year we had the regular season game in Baltimore, Sunday night event, and Baltimore ran them out of the stadium, and then obviously returning the favor in the playoffs, going to Buffalo, and then the Mark Andrews dropped either a touchdown or 2 point conversion. I can't remember. I can't be sure which one it was,
I
but it
think
was
it
like
was
right in his hands.
whatever it was is what he didn't do in the Cotton Bowl when he ran a
Uh,
70-yard touchdown straight into my face
defended.
a few years ago. But I do have Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard are both out for the
Sure.
Ravens.
Yep.
For the Buffalo Bills right now, we have Tyler Bass out, which is hilarious because
Yeah.
that's going to mess some fantasy people up. Khalil Shakir, it looks like he's playing. Tre'Davious White, doubtful.
Yeah.
Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle, out, and you're my trenches guy. So that seems like a problem because I don't like losing big boys in the middle.
I they're going to have to get pressure. I've Ed Oliver and I like what they have with the defensive line. They can never stay healthy with their secondary. They got rid of Kaiir Elam is now in Dallas, and that was like addition by subtraction, to be honest, at least in my opinion. Um, but then, but it's not really addition because they didn't really like make Tre'Davious White's never healthy. Like he's probably better, but he's never healthy. So there's not really an improvement there. And you're saying, doubtful for this week. The second, they just can't ever have a healthy secondary. They can't figure it out.
Tre'Davious White. So he
Um,
played 6 games in 2022 for the Bills, 4 games in
yeah,
2023, and then 11 between the Rams and the Ravens in 2024. So
yeah,
that's rough if he's going to be expected to be something important to him. But
exactly.
I mean, the thing
Um,
is, it's gonna, as much as we want to talk about other things, it's gonna run down to who performs better at the quarterback position. Is that Lamar Jackson or is it Josh Allen? I
yeah,
seem to think that Lamar Jackson has a lot more help, and that's probably why they're favorites. But it is it's a pretty big statement to me to see the Ravens currently favored on the road in Orchard Park.
yeah, I agree. I think Lamar Jackson had the little heel thing maybe a week ago. I'm sure he's fine mostly. I still go like Derrick Henry is my guy. That offensive line is spectacular. Todd Monken, one of my favorite offensive coordinators, there for another year. Um, I could see, I can see where that's going. The Ravens have been most like professional bettors, like top team for the year for the last 2 years. Um, and so power rankings wise, you're probably about right, Um, because the Ravens offense, it all clicks together, even without Likely. I think there are decently high expectations that Andrews can recover after another year of health. And the pass catchers are fine. There's no one that's just going to like is a game changer in my opinion. But it's just that ground game and the zone read style with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, like there's not another 1-2 punch like that in the NFL.
And we don't have the snow to help or limit
Right,
them. Their
right.
speed is going to be max potential unless we get some unexpected weather in Buffalo.
Right.
Um, I I'm pretty heavily invested more than I thought I ever would be in Josh Allen this year in fantasy sports, and
Uh,
I'm trying to think of, is that a good thing because he's literally got no one else, so it's just going to be him, or is that a bad thing because he's got no one else and it's just going to be him? To me,
I think
the
it's a good thing to have Josh Allen in fantasy
well,
always.
I agree to a certain extent, but I was going to go cheap on quarterbacks and look with the Josh Allen at least twice. I couldn't. I'm not really a road favorite person. I think the
Yeah.
NFL home field advantage is as minimal as it can be in any type of sport, but does feel like, I mean, I don't know, like certainly the money is respecting the Ravens. I think a
Yeah.
lot with this statement, or at least with this price here. And of the games we've talked about so far, I think there's a lot of love for the Lions, but they've been so good lately that I don't know if that really balances out. Week one, public side's hard to predict and all those sort of
Yeah.
things, or at least more popular angle. But I think a road
Yeah.
favorite usually would be. So we'll move to Monday night, and then if we got a little bit more time, we'll try to run through around a little bit more of this as we actually are
Yeah.
doing okay on time. I'm
Are
amazed.
we?
Yeah,
Oh,
we got our 10-minute warnings. We got till 10:50. Minnesota Vikings 1 point favorite at those Chicago Bears. Only one can be good this year. The Detroit Lions. Wow, I almost said Tigers and the Chicago Bears. Different sport, Griffin. Totals 43 and a half in this one. You didn't answer the question. Who's going to be good, the Chicago Bears or the Detroit Lions?
I think yeah. See, that's not
You said you can't choose both. So,
wait. That's not my opinion. That's somebody else's opinion. I
hmm.
think, but I'm a Ben Johnson guy. I'm not sure I'm a Caleb Williams guy.
I
Like,
am I am 1000% not a Caleb Williams guy.
so
So
that's where I'm out. Because and maybe like it'll work. Ben Johnson made Jared Goff. Like revive that dude's career.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
if we're looking at talent, Jared Goff and Caleb Williams, I don't think they're that far apart. You know what I mean? But like they're probably pretty similar.
I
You
mean,
know.
I don't know that Jared Goff is that talented. So now I'm getting a little bit
Well, I
worried
mean,
about the Lions.
he was like a number one overall pick. Like he was talented.
I mean, he also got like, please take him away from Los Angeles way back when. And
That's what I mean. Is like I Ben Johnson, the Lions were able to like embrace him, take him, and like say, hey man, this is how we're gonna. Anyways, we're off track on Ben. I think Ben Johnson could get the Bears offense better, and I think you could probably see that even in week one. Again, it goes back to like this league is so impatient with everything. It's impatient with quarterbacks. It's impatient with coaching staffs. Like to have your new head coach come in and say, "Hey, we're going to install an entire new offense," even though you've got some really good talent around you, it just doesn't. It's just not going to all click. It's going to probably be a little bit more. It's going to be simpler, um, and that allows a defense, especially a Brian Flores defense, to be pretty familiar with what he's going to do. You know what I mean? Like this is all interdivision type stuff. So these like Brian Flores knows what Chicago is going to try to do because he's watched them play. He's played against the Lions for the last couple of years.
well, on the other side, they also know exactly what Brian Flores is going to do. So,
But I guess hold on, then I'll make it quick too. Like my point with that is like their defense, the Vikings defense has been together. They know what they're going. They're gonna get the pass rush going. I think the Bears are still having to like learn how to walk. You know, they're having to learn through these steps, so they're probably a step slow, which is not good against like a really talented
so the
defense.
Bears are literally crawling, yet only 1 point underdogs at home on Monday Night Football to a Minnesota Vikings team that seems to make the playoffs every year. We're lighting the world on fire last season.
Yeah,
The only difference is that little old quarterback position, which I know that one member of this podcast, I think, sleeps in JJ McCarthy pajamas. Um, I don't have any pajamas. If that anyone gives probably TMI to a lot of people out there. But
okay.
I think that's my big question is maybe the Vikings survive this week one, which is ultimately what we're talking about here. But I need to hear your thoughts on JJ McCarthy and what he's going to look like as a starting quarterback for your Minnesota Vikings, not yours, but the
Yeah,
Royal your.
sure. Yeah, I do. I think JJ McCarthy is going to be pretty good. I think he's also in a great situation. This is the talking points that you've heard all summer. Either you're like totally out on him because Michigan didn't feature him and there's something missing there, or you're totally in because it's Kevin O'Connell and look what he did with Sam Darnold. Again,
If
not
Sam
a total
Darnold could do it after he saw
right,
Ghosts on Monday Night Football a few years ago,
right.
then why can't JJ McCarthy do it? That seems
It's
to
not.
be a reasonable take.
I guess it's an okay take, but it's still not like apples to apples in a comparison. You're still looking at a guy making his first start. But in the preseason, I thought he had some pretty good juice. He made some decisions that will certainly end in turnovers. In what I saw in the preseason, there were a couple throws where I was like, "Yikes! If you do that for an entire season or entire game, that's going to result in at least a turnover or two." But also, like he was able to make put some zip on that offense. Like it was clicking. Um, so that's where I'm at. I'm excited to watch him play. I think kind of like we've had these conversations in our chat about Arch Manning and what he is, what he isn't. I'm not trying to compare the two, but I think you're going to see a quarterback. And you're like, wow, there's some talent, there's arm talent there, but then you're also going to just see inconsistency, and that's probably pretty tough for asking for basically a rookie quarterback to go on the road for his first start and play really well. So yeah, that the number makes sense to me because of that.
I think there's a lot of learning for us to do in week one. A lot of these
Always is.
a lot of these bets feel like very dangerous, like handling weapons of mass destruction
Yes.
with your bare hands with no training or anything like that. If those actually existed, I don't know. But we've come to the end of the show. We're going to give out a couple best bets from Sunday or Monday, since that's where we're recording Friday night after the Chiefs somehow took an L. But it was on a different continent, so I'm not sure it counts. With
That's
that all
true.
said, we've gone through 6 pack of games because everyone loves a 6 pack, especially if it has Rainbow Bud Light on it. Just kidding. They have all NFL teams in your local markets now. I don't know if you saw that, but They're
Yeah.
completely going over. They clearly have a new staff in in wherever the hell Bud Light comes from, St. Louis, I'm assuming. But you should check out this podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe, Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. It's called Betting the Pitch on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner. I'll be tweeting out and tweeting at A underscore Schnicker all season to try to get him at least. So if you want to rage tweet me, you're at least including H underscore Schnicker as well. Though I
Include
gotta
me
say,
in that
not
page.
a lot of people do. So I appreciate that. Maybe people realize that I'm doing the best I can over here, or maybe it's my incredible edits. But for a best bet on this episode, which I am going to turn an Instagram reel, Instagram.com/real underscore G Warner. Where would you like to go at A underscore Schnicker for your best bet on this week one episode as we're starting 2-0?
Okay, well, it's a little tight because fast it's I'm going to a place with a fast track going indoors, which makes me uncomfortable to put out an under. But this is the weekend for unders. I actually you and I like I'm gonna keep track. Let's just if you bet the under every single for every game NFL game, let's see where we land when we talk again next week.
Okay.
So we're gonna go first half under with the Atlanta
Brilliant.
Falcons. We're going
Would
first half
would have
under.
won tonight, and the full game lost on the Chiefs and the Chargers. So I certainly enjoy first half numbers. I'll figure out exactly what that is for you unless you have it in front of you.
I
But
do. It's under 23, but at least at Bet Online, you can get it for $1.02.
mm,
So there's obviously, the full total's at 47. So we're a little
shop around for your best
shop
numbers.
around.
If it's
We're a little
available
late to the
now, you can
party.
use it. So
Yeah.
that's cool. That's
But I
cool.
think 23 is fine. You're not going to get a 24. And so it's dropped from 23 and a half, which would be better. But I think 23 is fine for that. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I'm fine with that under full game, but I think for the best bet for our grading purposes, let's go with 23.
Under 23, first half. The Falcons hosting the NFC South rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, I'm the real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms, but since I'm going to be making this video afterwards with my floating head, it probably doesn't matter. I don't need to plug that hard, considering I just did. But for my best bet on this episode, I'm going with the New England Patriots, 2.5 point favorites at home to Las Vegas Raiders. Christian Gonzalez, who's he? Actually, he's fairly important, but don't expect him to be playing this game. That's just would be a nice surprise. I don't know necessarily that his absence is going to change his number too much. I think he's expected to be out, but I'm just not really a believer in the Vegas Raiders at this point. They're going to have to prove it to me. I am wearing a Titans free
Yeah,
Sports
he's back.
Illustrated shirt from a long time ago. Mike Vrabel, I mean, that guy just wins against the spread. I'm expecting him to do it this season. A little awkward as a home favorite, but that's just how it goes. And if he already killed the Patriots dynasty from way back when, he might as well start another one. Mike Vrabel -2.5, the New England Patriots in that week one, as well as A underscore Schnicker on Twitter. His going with under 23, the Falcons and the Bucks.